does not remember Tata Sierra, an iconic product from Tata that won hearts? And as we all know, this year's biggest launch from Tata Motors is going to be Sierra. And to talk more about it, I have the design head of Tata Motors, Martin, with me. Hi,
Hello.
Martin. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the new Sierra.
Yes.
We see a lot of inspiration from the earlier Sierra, and that's pretty logical. We would all want to see Sierra back in fresh.
Yes.
So tell us more about the design of Sierra.
Yeah, so it's been a labor of love. We've been working on it for quite a few years. We've shown it in many versions at various auto shows, but here it is finally, the production version of the Sierra. It's in its ICE format. So the front grille is a little bit different, the front bumper from the concept we showed. But ICE and EV, this is the ICE version, will have a different front end. But ultimately, the Sierra is about capturing the spirit and the sort of iconic simplicity that the original had. So whether it's just the overall simplicity to design, there's nothing superficial, nothing like fashionable.
Yeah.
It's as timeless as possible, but ultimately it's an SUV. So it has to communicate power, safety, stance. So the main thing is the overall proportions, getting that right. You'll notice that it's on 19-inch wheels. That's the standard wheel size. And then overall, again, the side view is really where the simplicity comes to. So you have, two strong wheel arch features, on both. So it's almost like a Coke bottle. No lines on the side, but you have the signature B-pillar and the signature glass wrap over graphic, which is the iconography of the Sierra. The main thing is you should be able to identify this as a Sierra without seeing the lettering or the badges. It should speak for itself.
I noticed that in the earlier Sierra, it was immediately you got to know when you saw the glass panel because it turned towards the roof. But you couldn't do that now because of safety regulations,
That's right.
I believe.
Yes.
So tell us, what did you think? What thought process was this?
Immediately, as soon as the designers were sketching a Sierra, they did this graphic going over. It's almost like the signature of the car. But then the reality is we're not doing a 3-door, we're doing a 5-door. So we had to package a door into that. And like you mentioned, we have the safety, the rollover. We expect, this is going to be a class-leading safe vehicle. So this has to be structural. But the main thing we worked on is it's about the interior experience. So when we sit in the interior later on in the year, you'll notice how much daylight is in the rear. Whether it's through the panorama roof, whether it's through the side window and everything. So you still have this like vista in front of you. It's this spirit of adventure. And the main thing, the biggest challenge for design was actually to make this as smooth. We didn't want offsets and seals and stuff like that. So we worked very hard with the engineering team. For instance, you see we don't have a traditional rubber seal.
Yeah.
We basically have the seal now hidden behind the door. Things like that. But it took a lot of weeks and months of arguing and fighting for this to get this right.
So we will get a panoramic sunroof on this one?
Yeah, you'll have option of an open sunroof or complete panoramic glass roof.
Oh, that's very cool. And now let's look at the rear, which looks, I think, very, very nice, especially this, the spoiler effect here and then the straight cut. Generally, straight cuts can look like it has been cut with a knife, and I often see it, but it doesn't look like that. It looks quite interesting with the tail lamp here.
Yeah.
Tell us more about it.
Yeah, I mean, the tail, again, trying to keep it as simple as possible, single piece DRL, like you said, very minimalistic, but ultimately it is a box. It's this huge upright, wall. So how do you make that interesting, in terms of refinement? Another big battle was we were pushing for this clamshell tailgate. Traditionally we would have the split line somewhere here. But we said we wanted it first visually to make it as beautiful as possible and as wide as possible. But also when you open it, that you get maximum access to the boot space. So all of these things, there's an element of beauty, but there's also an element of function that goes into it.
I noticed the Easter egg that's always there in all Tata cars, and here it is, the horse. So can you tell us the significance and the association of Sierra and the horse?
Yes, every Tata model product has an avatar, which is an animal. And we discussed, many options, but we ultimately picked the horse because as an animal, a horse can be a work animal. It can be at a farm, pulling a cart, traditionally but it can be, it's an athletic animal, it's an animal of grace, it's an animal of sport as well, and it has a timeless beauty about it. So in many ways, it fits the personality of what a Sierra is. If you imagine the horse running across a field, it's no different from what a Sierra driving across the roads of India will be.
So I see the roof rails here, but because this is going to get panoramic sunroof, I'm assuming these are not going to be functional roof rails.
No, they will be.
They will be functional roof rails. They will have load carrying capacity.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I also want to understand, I know Sierra will come with ICE and EV powertrain options as well. So are there going to be any differences in designs for EV? Because you specifically mentioned this is ICE.
Yes, this is ICE. The differentiation between ICE and EV will be fundamentally isolated to the front bumper, wheel design, and some elements of the color and trim on the interior. It's very similar to our differentiation if you look at a Nexon, for instance, at the moment. So it's going to follow that route. The main thing is powertrain is no different than a color choice. First, you want to buy a Sierra.
Yeah.
Once you decide you want a Sierra, it's your lifestyle product. Then you decide, actually, do I need a petrol one or do I need a EV?
Yeah.
And then you pick, the technology inside, the wheel design, and then the color.
I know you're not opening the interiors right now, but can you give us a sense of what the interiors will look like and what can we expect there?
Yeah, I mean, the interior, like the exterior, is no different from the show car we showed 2 years ago. So if anybody's interested what that interior will look like, have a look at that. It's exactly the same, what we're delivering. The only difference is you might notice that on this one, we're hinting and previewing a coast-to-coast screen option. So you will
3 screens, one for the passenger as well.
Yes, that's right. So from an infotainment point of view, and also you might remember, we showed the Sierra 2 years ago with a lounge option.
Yeah.
Which was, much bigger, almost like a business class interior.
Yeah.
That is also something we will be delivering at the launch of the car.
All right, Martin, thank you so much for giving us a proper tour of the Sierra. Thanks a lot. And we are waiting for Sierra to come in the middle of this year.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. We look forward to seeing it in flesh. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.